Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports. Extremely excited to cover a quick recap of day one of NBA free agency, my quick winners and losers. Now there's still a lot that can change, so don't take, especially the losers part of this, super seriously. There's ways teams can pivot, and there's a few teams that have a little bit more flexibility ahead of them, and they've made some nice moves as well. I'm just talking about like kind of losing talent, losing some of those big name players especially, and the kind of struggles that causes for certain teams. We're going to talk about my winners and losers from day one. If you guys do enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well, and let's get into it now with my big winners from day one of NBA free agency. And they committed a lot of money to get this player, but it is Paul George heading to the Philadelphia 76ers, a 4-year, $212 million max contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. And really in the same vein, part of why Philadelphia is a big winner, the Los Angeles Clippers are big losers. With the new CBA, the decision to send out talent, to not retain your talent, even if it costs a lot of money, I never think that is the right decision. And the new NBA CBA, we're seeing some teams operate like the best way to continue building their team is to sacrifice the core of their team to preserve the depth and the fringes of their team. And I completely disagree with that strategy. I think the way that Boston is building is way more sustainable than the way that the Clippers are trying to build, where they willingly let Paul George walk. They did not offer him a max contract, decided to keep their flexibility open instead. I disagree with what the Clippers are trying to accomplish here. I think the Clippers are big losers. Now, I'm not saying Paul George, the 4 years on this $212 million contract are all going to be pretty. He's into his mid-30s already, so the end of that contract might be a little questionable. No questions asked about that. But I do think ultimately for Philadelphia, they have geared themselves toward contention, especially with Maxey staying on a contract. This was a foregone conclusion. A 5-year extension for Maxey, a very, very good deal for him. One of the league's bright, young, ascending players. He's in a spot where he's going to be able to make a lot of money, obviously, on this new deal, but really continue to showcase his talent as the number 2 guy there in Philadelphia. The pecking order for the 76ers is going to be Joel Embiid 1, Paul George 3, with Tyrese Maxey sandwiched in the middle between the two of them. One team I do want to talk about, the Chicago Bulls. I really like this signing of Jalen Smith for them, 3 years, $27 million. This just happened 22 minutes ago. I think this is a good contract. I think his shooting prowess, I think his perimeter play is going to be very useful around Josh Giddey, around Matas Buzelis, their recent first-round pick. I think the Bulls getting a floor-spacing big man like Smith does make a real good deal of sense. Now, I still think that they are a big loser because teams in free agency went out, used their cap space, and as a result of that, the Bulls are still, at the time I'm recording this, stuck with Zach LaVine. His contract is an albatross. 3 years left on it, nearing $50 million by the very end. He is making a lot of money, and I think there's going to be real problems with Chicago ever trying to offload that contract. Now, there are some rumors about the Los Angeles Clippers potentially being involved. That's something we do have to keep our eyes on. Would the Clippers panic and try and bring in Zach LaVine? But so far, 2 of my 3 big losers have been the Los Angeles Clippers losing Paul George and the Chicago Bulls not being able to offload Zach LaVine at this point in time. I do like this Jalen Smith contract. It's not to say the Clippers and Bulls haven't made good moves. They have. But one of my big winners in that same vein, with Paul George to Philadelphia and Chris Paul getting a 1-year, $11 million deal with the San Antonio Spurs, one of the big winners is father time. These older players inking long contracts or expensive contracts. If you would have told me Chris Paul would have signed for $11 million on day one of NBA free agency, I think I would have been a little pessimistic about those chances, and I would have been a little hesitant to say that that would be the reality. Now, for San Antonio, I'm not saying this is a bad deal at all. In fact, I really like this for the Spurs. I think this is a really good win for them as well. Getting Chris Paul in a mentor role, getting Chris Paul in a floor general role, the ability to hit Victor Wembanyama frequently and often. If you want to see your star, young rookie, young player take a huge step forward going into year 2 of his career, you give him a playmaking point guard. You give him someone with excellent all-time feel, tremendous passer, one of the best playmakers to ever play in the sport. providing that player to San Antonio. While yes, this isn't a huge step on the gas move, this isn't a push to contention type of move, this is a move that is going to benefit everyone around him. Devin Vassell is going to be set up more frequently. Keldon Johnson will be likely more comfortable, assuming he stays in San Antonio. I'm not ruling out a trade quite yet. Devin Vassell, I think, will be really, really happy with this. I think I already mentioned him. I'm losing my mind. Jeremy Sohan is a player who I think with the unique kind of areas of the floor that he can operate from, Chris Paul and Sohan could find a unique two-man game where short rolls become a thing. Wemby sitting down in the dunker spot could become very viable off of that as well. And I think just the other guards, Stephon Castle, rookie point guard they just drafted. Some of the other guards, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, if they're still there in San Antonio for the next couple of years, Chris Paul could have a real beneficial impact on those guys too. So I think just his presence in the locker room, I think his presence on the court, his presence in stress moments are all going to be extremely valuable and very beneficial for the Spurs this upcoming season. Here's one of the biggest deals and one of the best ones from day one of free agency. 3-year, $66 million with a third-year player option on it for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. First of all, big winner here, KCP. He gets a bag, like I said. I estimated roughly between $20 and $25 million out in the market for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope this offseason. He walks away with $22 million annually and a player option for that third year. With the upcoming cap jumps, it's very possible we could see him opt out of that third year and maybe try and get another long-term contract under his belt as he starts to age a bit in the next couple of years. I love this deal for Orlando, though. I think for the Magic, I've been very pessimistic about them because I've been concerned about that backcourt. How do they put good guard players on the floor around Banchero and Wagner? They have the cap space to do so. I just needed to see them go out and actually accomplish it and do it. They get a real win-now type of player here in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, someone who I think has a real impact on winning on both ends of the floor, and that's my biggest thing for this deal for Orlando. They were able to increase their offensive output a little bit by adding a good floor spacing two-guard who shoots and can attack off the dribble a little bit. Doesn't do it a ton, but he is capable of playing off of other guys. But at the heart of it, it does not jeopardize your defensive integrity at all. If anything, it strengthens it. Going into next year with a presumed lineup of Jalen Suggs, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, that is a really strong and formidable starting five with a lot of potential to still grow into. KCP is a really good in the present player to add to this young core without sacrificing long-term anything. There's no real risk in this to me if you're Orlando, so I love this deal a lot. I think it's a very good deal for KCP as well. Now, the Clippers did rebound. We talked about them as a loser. They did come back and land Derrick Jones Jr. on a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. You noticed last night I posted my Paul George reaction video very early, about 3-4 hours before he quote-unquote officially signed. The reason I posted it, as soon as the Clippers made this signing, as soon as they landed Derrick Jones Jr., they were out of the Paul George mix. They could not use this mid-level exception type money, this 3-year, $30 million contract on somebody like a Derrick Jones Jr. if Paul George was returning. So as soon as Derrick Jones Jr. signed this contract, I knew Paul George was gone. I knew he was going to go to Philadelphia, the only team with real cap space left for him. So Derrick Jones Jr., listen, even though he's a good player, I think his fit in LA is going to be very good alongside James Harden. I think some of the synergy that he built up last year with Luka Doncic will carry itself over to LA with the Clippers. I think with Kawhi Leonard, this is a really good get. The Clippers have needed more bounce. They need more springiness in their roster. And Derrick Jones Jr. provides that. He's also going to be their premier point of attack defender. They're going to use him on the other team's best player, likely night in, night out. Now, I do have concerns about his overall ability to be an elite on-ball defender. He was a very good one last year for Dallas, but a lot of the Mavericks' defensive success came from kind of shrinking the floor defensively, providing rim protection at all times with Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, especially in the second half of the season. But Derrick Jones Jr., a good player. I like this signing for the Clippers, but they still are a loser to me because I don't love this signing either. Kevin Porter Jr., I don't know. He's not really a good player, to be honest. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, he averaged 19 points a game for a month. I don't care about points per game. I don't care about assists per game. I don't care about this, that, and the other thing. I care about your impact on winning. Kevin Porter Jr. has never been an impactful player when it comes to winning. I don't think that he is going to help the Clippers long term. I understand it's a talent grab, but given his off-the-court stuff, I just really think that the Clippers should not have made this signing. I don't think it's going to have a lot of long-term benefit for them. We'll see if he even is in the rotation on day one of the NBA season. I'm not even sure he will be. So from a PR perspective, I don't like this move at all for the LA Clippers, and I don't think Kevin Porter Jr. is, one, good enough to be a consistent NBA player, and secondly, with his off-the-court stuff, I would not have been the team to sign him myself. I hope you guys did enjoy my winners and losers breakdown so far. Obviously, the big deal is Paul George to the Philadelphia 76ers, along with Andre Drummond. Kelly Oubre stays in Philly, as does Tyrese Maxey. All pretty no-brainers there. The Magic pull Kentavious Caldwell-Pope away from the Nuggets, who are a big loser as well. Losing out on KCP, not being able to replace him. Again, it comes down to what I talked about with the Clippers. If you let talent walk out the door, it's impossible to replace that later. With the new CBA, you're not going to be able to add more talent, really. The Clippers are trying that with replacing Paul George with Kevin Porter Jr. and Derrick Jones Jr. I hope you guys see the flaw in that logic. It's not going to work very well for LA. Denver's not even replaced him with anybody yet. We'll see what happens for the Nuggets. But losing KCP is tough. I like San Antonio getting Chris Paul. But I do have concerns long-term about the Clippers and Nuggets most especially. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.